Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the Flatout Racing Network's coverage of race number 5, Season 62 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. We have crossed over into the second half of the regular season. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Michael Norman. Michael, the driver mentality has to have changed by now. The first 4 races, we were focused on drivers winning, getting that automatic ticket into the playoffs, but now I think both ours, drivers, spectators, all our viewpoint now goes to that 12th in the standings cut line because that's going to be the pivotal point down this home stretch.
Yes, it is. And, with the final couple of races coming up, Seth, it's going to be more interesting to watch who's going to be the more aggressive. Is it going to be those that are locked in already, still just out there trying to get the wins, or is it going to be the drivers who need the wins to get themselves locked in?
We've had full fields the last few weeks, so there have been a lot of points on the table that can be gained and or lost as field gets themselves gridded up here for tonight's event. Let's just pause and take a moment to appreciate the random qualifying draw gods out there and their infinite wisdom to put a certain driver on the pole position. You're probably not going to see him out there.
Let's not talk about that.
We could talk about the guy that got given
we're not gonna
6th
talk about
as
it.
well. I mean, I don't know what we did to deserve top 10 starts, but it it happened. Yeah, I ended up getting the pole position. Michael ended up getting 6th place on the random qualifying draw. So we probably should have started this race and given you a first-person point of view on this broadcast. But you know what? We're gonna keep it professional here. And
are we? Do we ever?
Do we? Hey, we had a race where Matt Rod was up in the booth and driving at the same time. But then again, that was his series, so he was able to call the shots on that one as drivers' engines are fired. So Mike Mangialardi, by virtue of the fact that the inside row is going to move up 1 row each, he's going to be the provisional pole sitter here tonight, and he'll have Jeff Crivello alongside of him. Belly Elliser will be alongside of Mark Paglia in row 2. Huh?
Who is Belly Elliser? Because you said Belly.
Did I? I'm sorry. Billy Elliser.
There you go.
Freudian slip. Apologies there. He's in row 2 with Mark Paglia. Row 3 is going to be John Godfrey alongside of Tim Nofsker. Row 4, Donnie Garrett and Randy Waugh.
Luigi?
There you go. I remembered this time. Row 5, Brian Lovell and Bobby Farrell. That'll complete your top 10. Back in row 6, Cy Jones and last week's winner, Joe DeSpirito. Brian Schilling and Bob Seminara. They'll be back in row 7. Row 8, Jeremy Jeffries, our defending champion, alongside of Wiley Coate. Row 9, Ken Roberts and Ulysses Sandoval. And completing the top 20 tonight will be Denny Carroll and Doug Kulik back in row 10. Row 11, we find Bob Dixon alongside of Graham McDonald. Row 12, Grant Wesley and Chris Emery. Huh?
You said Graham McDonald. I said had a farm.
Had a farm, yes. Is that going to be your next driver to put a little moniker on the end of? Probably. And back in row, you made me lose track of where we are. Row 12, Grant Wesley and Chris Emery. Row 13 will be Ron Hagelin and Greg Palmer. Row 14, Josh Metallic and Jessica Shelton. The top 30 will be completed with Milt Surratt and Terry Bombard. Back in row 16, Glenn Harris and Kelly Causey. Row 17, Brian Rawson, Keith Bynum. Row 18 is where we'll find Tom Dixon and Bernie Mobbs. And completing tonight's 37-car field is going to be the 17 of Chuck McClure. Pretty deep in the field there for Chuck, a driver who comes into this race above the cut line by about 15 points. Tied for 8th in the standings, but it's always fun. I don't know why. I always find it fun when Chuck is qualified at the back of the pack, because then I kind of have a little mental game of seeing how many laps it takes for him to get up into the top 10, and usually it's only about 5 or 6 laps.
Just wants to know if you think she brought her lucky cricket.
Oh, well, I'll get to that in a little bit. Because I have some stats here. I got some stats here, so I'll get to that in just a little bit here. Green flags in the air, 66 laps of racing here tonight at the Talladega Superspeedway. 3rd time this season we have been at this particular racetrack, and Mike Mangialardi, that number 29 Hardee's machine, going to lead the field through 1 and 2.
But what about 3 and 4?
We're going to get to that in just a moment here, actually. As soon as they make their way down this insert number of feet long back straightaway.
Insert number of feet. So much for your facts.
Well, I have notes on drivers. I don't have notes on the track itself. I don't know exactly how long the back straightaway and the front straightaway actually are. I'm sure Wikipedia could help me out on that, though. Jeff
you better look it up.
Crivello, he's going to lead this first lap. That middle line, as usual, getting that run down the back straightaway. And it'll be the Quaker State number 36 machine that will put lap 1 completed and lap 2 on the board.
There's 2 Quaker State cars.
You're right. I didn't actually notice that. Yeah.
One
Same
gold,
sponsor,
one green.
different looking. The Billy Elliser car. Oh, gosh. I should know who that is a throwback to, and I can't think of it. Do you have any thoughts of who it is? Oh, man.
Ken Schrader or Harry Gant, I believe.
Is it? Okay. I'm going
One
to
of the
adhere
two.
to you because no name is even popping into my head.
I think it could also be Brett Bodine, too, but I don't remember.
You know, I think you're right. I think it is Brett.
One of those 3.
Ooh, Bobby Farrell was dropping back there. Either that or got shuffled up to the third line. He almost made contact with one of the cars in the middle line there. He'll now lead that third lane with Jeremy Jeffries up top there. 4 races, 4 different drivers have gone to victory lane. Jeremy Jeffries, the defending champion, getting the early checkered flag here at Talladega back in the first race of the season. Chris Emery got his first career win a week later at Burt Screwdrivers Raceway. Brian Schilling picked up the victory here at this racetrack 2 weeks ago. And then Joe DeSpirito, who missed the first race of the season and was trying to work his way up into the top 20 in the point standings, got that victory last week at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. His first top 10 on the season, and it propelled him up to 20th in the standings. So right now in a playoff spot, but he is the only of the former winners that is not currently up inside of the top 12 in points.
You're a top 12.
Not in this series, I'm not. I'm a pole sitter, though. That stat's going to be on there for all time.
We'll see about that.
I remember, ooh, we got a car out of shape back there, Ron Hagelin.
Ooh,
I remember a couple of seasons ago, there was a night where you weren't able to make it for the broadcast, and Donnie Garrett joined me up in the booth. I think it was for one of the finales. He wasn't in the championship hunt, and it was the night that he got the pole in the random qualifying draw. Of all the nights,
like,
that
well,
was
I
the
guess
night
I'm
that it
racing.
gave it to him.
I guess I'm racing now.
Yep, he considered that. He definitely did consider that. Tim Nofsker going to jump to the bottom here in the 088. Nofsker coming into this race tied for 5th in points, 31 points out of the points lead, held by Grant Wesley. All right, so I told you I had some notes on some drivers to kind of keep an eye on here tonight, and you mentioned about Jessica Shelton and the Lucky Cricket. Shelton in the last 3 races has finished in the runner-up position. Finished runner-up to Chris Emery 3 weeks ago at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, and then runner-up last week to Joe DeSpirito also at BSR. So a lot of momentum for her. And a driver I think we have to keep an eye on here tonight is Grant Wesley, the points leader. The reason being, well, due to Memorial Day weekend, they didn't run bare bones on Monday night. But Tuesday night at Michigan Nextel, Grant Wesley went to victory in the Speed Freak Series. And then last night in the Lightning Truck Series, they ran a doubleheader at Atlanta 1997. Guess who won both those races? Grant Wesley. He's won 3 of the 3 races run so far here this week. Could he go for the sweep tonight?
Wait. Don't tell me it was Jesus.
Well, no. I'll tell you this. It was one of the 2 men that have been fighting over who has the golden horseshoe. Jeremy Jeffries is the other. Mangialardi got shuffled to the 4th position, tucked in line in front of Mark Paglia. DeSpirito, last week's winner, now up to 2nd with Bob Seminara right there behind him. We talked about the fact that now our focus is going to be going more towards that 12th in the standings cut line, drivers that may not necessarily be able to win their way into the playoffs, trying to point their way in. Seminara falls into that category. A lot of names knocking on the door just outside the top 12. Graham McDonald, Josh Metallic, Glenn Harris, Seminara, Palmer, Donnie Garrett, Richard Martin, a former champion from a couple of seasons ago. So there's a lot of drivers here down this home stretch that we could definitely see make a charge. 4 races left. I mean, there's still plenty of time.
JT Mayhew says, or James Mayhew says, Google confirmed it is 4,000 square feet, the backstretch at Talladega.
4,000, okay.
So, Seth, I am handing you a container for you to grab some of cantaloupe.
Some cantaloupe. How well does that go with tapioca pudding?
Tapioca!
I'm so glad you made that reference because I didn't even think of it. How about 3 wide at the front? Despirito and Seminara went to the middle, and now Denny Carroll and Randy Waugh
Luigi.
up there on the top for 3 wide. Ooh, they got to keep their bump. Oh, no, that's what I was afraid of. They weren't keeping their bumpers lined up, and that's catastrophic
And
on the back
24
straightaway.
is up and over and on his roof.
And continuing to flip. Oh, and then Ken Roberts is going to get grabbed by the 24. He gets turned upside down. And they're still scattering along this back straightaway.
And then they all died.
The end. Keith Bynum, Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
There's Kelly Causey, Graham McDonald. There's Paglia. Man, I tell you what. That's why Michael's a content creator.
Jessica reports she has no damage from that wreck.
Yeah, a number of drivers I think were able to get on the brakes to avoid.
Told you, did you miss me last week?
I miss everybody.
I miss myself. I forgot what I was doing. What did I do last week? I forgot.
Last week? You were working, weren't you?
Was I working, or was I just really tired?
I think you were
working. I think I was just really tired.
You were really tired while you were working.
I was really tired while I was working, and when I got home, I got home early that day, but I was just dead tired.
Well, no, I think what happened, as we're looking at the replay here, by the way, but I think what you told me was that you weren't going to be home in time, and then you ended up coming home in time, but we had already had somebody in place. And you saw it right there. Yeah, I was worried about this when I saw them coming off of turn 2. It just didn't look like the bumpers were lined up very well between the 41 and the 21, and the dreaded bumper grab comes into play, and that was right up there in that 3-wide battle for the lead in the second row of 3 wide. Here's a look of it from the helicopter cam. Watches off this corner here. 41 pushes up a little bit, and when he comes back down, the 21's front bumper is coated into the 41's back bumper. And 21 goes around, and unfortunately it shoots him left, where the rest of the field is all tripled and doubled up. Despirito's car never got back onto its wheels, so he had to call for a tow. Boy, bet he's very relieved with the fact that he has that victory last week. Now all he has to worry about is making his way into the top 20 in points, and he'll have an automatic playoff spot. Let's take a look here.
But are you a top 20 in points?
Not in this series. Couldn't tell if that was Greg Palmer, maybe, that got into the back of the 55. And watch right here as the 24 is spinning. He then grabs the 55 of Ken Roberts, and Roberts kind of completes the barrel roll for Joe Despirito. But again, I've talked about this all season long, and all of last season as well. It is difficult really to tell with the Aero 88 cars, at least visibly, just how much damage a driver has sustained. There have been a couple of occasions where a driver has taken a hard enough hit that the front end, the hood, will be buckled, and you can kind of tell that that car will probably not be up to speed. But like in the case there, the 55 barrel rolling, it's hard to tell if there was really any damage on that car. One would have to assume there was roof damage, but visibly you can't tell. Number of other drivers taking some hard hits there. It's all a matter of, at least from the spectator point of view, it's a matter of waiting until the cars get back up to speed on a restart, of seeing if they can hang with the lead pack or not. Seminara gets himself a bonus point for a lap lead. Yep. Brian Rawson also stayed out an extra lap. That's going to turn the race lead over to the 4 of Brian Schilling for the upcoming restart here. Let's get an update on the 24 of Joe Despirito. Yep, he was able to continue on after calling the tow. Looks like scoring currently has him 1 lap down, We'll see if that updates or if it stays the same when he crosses the line here. I guess the saving grace for the 24 is the fact that it was at a big racetrack, so it would take a little bit longer for drivers under pacing to make their way around and lap him. Also, it would depend on how long his toe was. Being on the back straightaway wouldn't be nearly as long a toe as if he had been upside down just past the start-finish line. The way that the toe works in this particular sim is pace speed relative from where you despawned to where your pit stall is. So if you were to say the 2 pit stalls behind your pit stall and be upside down and called a toe, it would be a matter of seconds. If you were just past your pit stall, though, and upside down and called a toe, you'd be looking at maybe about
5 minutes.
Yeah, well, something like that. Yeah, like, would it be that long for here?
Yeah, I believe it would. I know, so that's why I didn't go test the theory.
No, I wouldn't want to. I'm the pole sitter. Oh, Michael, you started it up. A couple of weeks ago, we had the whole discussion of, I think it was honeydew melon with salt. And JT in our chat says he'll take a big bowl of cantaloupe with a salt shaker. So and I think the next time by, we'll have the lights out for the 1 to green on the rusty little tribute pace car. Grant Wesley will line up on the outside of the front row alongside of Schilling. Jeremy Jeffries will be 3rd, Jeff Crivello 4th, Donnie Garrett, Greg Palmer going to be the first 3 rows. You brought up the fact here, Michael, before we went green about the different drivers, what their goals were going to be, and of course, maybe seeing a little bit more aggression out of the drivers that already have a victory this season, like Schilling, Jeffries, Emery, and DeSpirito, looking for those extra bonus points. Obviously, the regular season championship pays out bonus points as well. So what do you think? Like, I think, if I recall correctly, I think the regular season championship pays out 15 bonus points, which would equate to 3 victories. Do you think that drivers look more for that, or do they look more to go out there and get those 3 victories, just in case they don't get the 15 bonus points for regular season championship?
Well, I mean, it would mean more probably to get the victories, if anything, Seth. I mean, you're a racer, diehard racers. We're out there to win the race.
True.
So, it really wouldn't matter. Consistency is one thing, but you're out there to try to win a race, so.
See if we got time here. Of course, this is the second round of the bracket challenge that started up last week. Had 32 drivers going up against each other in a tournament bracket, if you will. Had a total of 16 move on to the next round. The other 16 were shuffled down into the loser side of the bracket with another chance later on this season to still win the whole thing. But the 16 that moved on and the matchups we have here tonight... Huh?
Okay. I think Jess said the 80 doesn't have first gear.
The 80?
All right, I think
Surratt.
that's what she said.
All right, we'll keep tabs on that. Milt is going to be restarting, looks like 10th place on the outside of row 5. Real quickly, those bracket battles going on here.
Can confirm Milt Surratt does
10-4.
not have first gear.
So that'd be that tide ride you guys see there, up on that outside line, 5th in the outside line there. The battles here tonight, as far as the bracket are concerned, Grant Wesley's taking on Josh Mattel, a couple of former champions going up against each other there. Jeremy Jeffries going up against Terry Bombard, Billy Elliser and Richard Martin facing off this evening. Chris Emery and Bob Seminara. Joe DeSpirito's going up against Mark Paglia.
Bob Schilling, no second gear.
Who?
Bob Schilling.
Brian Schilling?
Or, I don't know, somebody.
There's a Bob Seminara and there's a Brian Schilling.
Brian Schilling.
Brian Schilling. That's the race leader. And you see right
there,
there's the no second gear. Oh, man, they stacked up a ton.
Yeah. And Grant Wesley says bye.
Goodbye. Just for reference, folks, the 88 did not jump the restart. The 4 did not have second gear, and Jeremy Jeffries and Donnie Garrett did their best to try and get him up to speed, and looks like they have done so. But the final battles going on tonight, Jessica Shelton facing up against Ron Hagelin, Milt Surratt against Denny Carroll, and Tim Knofsker against Donnie Garrett. One notable driver not in the field here tonight, Rodney Sullins. Rodney coming into this race 21st in points, and he will fall even further in the point standings. He's currently, I don't know if he's currently at, but I know most of the day he was at the NCAA Women's Championship World Series for the softball tournament.
You're a World Series.
Of what?
I don't know. Of your face.
The World Series of my face. All right.
One car losing the pack back there.
And I just saw in our chat there, Rodney Sullins. Like, literally just brought our chat back up. How you doing, Rodney? I hate that you're not in the field here tonight, but you got 3 more races to make your way up into the playoffs. And 2 of those races going to be at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, a track that Rodney Sullins does very, very well at. As how about 3 wide at the front again? This time, Chuck McClure. All right, took what? 14 laps and 1 caution for Chuck McClure to go from last to almost first.
Imagine getting split 3 wide like that too.
I hate it for Chuck, the fact that, you know, a lot of times he doesn't get the benefit of the qualifying draw, but I love it for me because it's like a little mini game. You know Chuck's not going to hang back there. You know he's going to get up to the front. Just a matter of how long it's going to take for him to do so. And there you see it, right up front and center, up into the top 5 after he rolled off the grid from 37th place here this evening.
That sounds about right.
So Joe DeSpirito officially lost 1 lap with calling the tow. I believe he is still up in the lead group. Mark Paglia, however, has lost the draft. So I think it's safe to assume he's got aero and or engine damage. And he is currently running about 12 seconds slower than all the drivers up in this lead pack. Not going to take very long for the field to be barreling down on his back bumper to put him -1. Denny Carroll is now slotted into the 3rd position behind Schilling and Jeffries. John Godfrey right behind him in the 4th position. And then Grant Wesley, who got split in that 3 wide, now tucks into the 5th spot. It looks like the 2 drivers that you reported there via our eye in the race, if you will, Jessica Shelton, both of them did pretty good there on that restart. Schilling is still the leader, and Milt Surratt is on the outside there. Last time by scored in the 12th position, so both did a good job getting up to speed despite not having those lower gears essential for restarts, and maybe more so essential for the launch off of pit road if we have green flag pit stops. I don't know, what do you think? First or second gear be the most important one as far as leaving pit road? Can you do without either one of them, do you think?
That depends on where you're at.
That's true.
If you're the front, one of the first couple of pit stalls, first gear. If you're in the back, it's going to be second, because once you come out of your pit stall and you're going down pit road, you want to shift up to second, so because it's a little easier to maintain the 55 to then just nail it coming out of the once you exit pit road.
So Schilling has the number 15 pit stall. Milt Surratt has the 31st pit stall, based off of where they were put in the random qualifying draw. Bob Dixon was doing a good job there. 8th place. He's on that inside line. Now a number of drivers have jumped up to the outside, and he's trying to get up to the back bumper of Donnie Garrett. Denny Carroll moved up in front of Grant Wesley. Now he'll try and make a challenge for the lead going into turn 1. Denny Carroll 11th in the point standings, just above that cut line. He was 3 to the good coming into tonight. The cut line driver was Mark Paglia, who we documented has lost the lead draft and is the last car on the lead lap as things currently run. So we could see quite a bit of shuffling around that 12th in the standings cut line at the conclusion of this one. heading into Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway next Thursday night.
There's a wreck. Looks like it stayed off the... Bobby Farrell is around off the bottom of the racetrack.
Yep.
No caution.
No yellow.
And he's still spinning. He is still in the air. I'm just kidding. Now he gets it back.
Ron Hagelin was the other car. There he is, the Coca-Cola machine. And he's headed for pit road. Joe DeSpirito, I thought he was up in the lead pack. As you can see, that is not the case for last week's winner. So he's in danger not only of getting caught by the leaders here, but also in danger of maybe falling a second lap down.
Who?
The 24 DeSpirito, yeah.
Oh. He might just have had some damage from
that flip, yeah.
Uh-huh. Not much he can do.
Oh, that did not look good back there in the middle of the pack. Billy Elliser shaded low in front of Ulysses Sandoval.
Oh, and there goes the 26 around.
And I don't think the caution came out for that either.
No caution.
Yeah, the 26 looked squarely in front of the 096 of Sandoval, and Elliser has gone around.
And now Ulysses is going to lose the pack.
Yep. Well, Sandoval, depending on what the situation was with that wreck, we weren't able to catch it there. But you see the 111 coming to pit road as well. There is a ruling that if an incident occurs and you are at fault under green flag conditions, you have to come down pit road and serve a pass-through. The 111 of Hagelin might have come down pit road to serve a pass-through of whatever happened between him and the 92. And then we may see Sandoval serve a pass-through depending on what happened between him and the 26.
Well, we should be close to seeing the first round of pit stops, Seth, because it's lap 21, and they had an early caution, which gave them a couple extra laps, but oh my lord, they are very close, 3 wide up here at the front.
That 41 looked a little nervous right there going into turn 1. Denny Carroll leading that middle line. How about Milt Surratt up on the top? Denny sees the run coming. He's going to move up to that third lane. You got to be careful swapping lanes here when that momentum is coming, because there is a mile-per-hour difference. It looks like Denny was able to time it correctly. Now he'll move back down to that middle line, trying to stall out the momentum that third line seems to generate, especially on the straights. You talked about that early caution and it kind of extending out when these drivers would have to start considering making a green flag pit stop. I don't think a green flag pit stop is on these drivers' minds right now, because if it was, everybody would be trying to get down to the bottom. We are 3 wide, 8 rows deep right now.
What makes you think they're not trying to get to the bottom?
If they are, they better turn their blinker on for a long, long time.
I totally just stole my blanket away from my puppy as she's trying to sleep.
Did she give you the sad eyes?
She did. And
do you feel guilty?
Now she's taking my Dale Earnhardt blanket and trying to make a bed out of it.
Good. I hope you feel guilty.
Did I feel guilty?
Oh! Kelly Causey got shuffled out there. Gets the wall off of turn 4. Everyone spreads away to try and give him room. Is there an issue? Causey might have had a... Oh, wait, he's in the wall. Did he have a hardware failure, or maybe his game froze?
I have no idea. I'm not hearing anything.
Sure, but Joe DeSpirito just went another lap down in that process as well. That's what kind of scared me about that, was they were 3 wide about to catch the 24, and then the 00 goes up to a 4 wide situation. As Denny Carroll, that middle line gets him to the lead. Now he'll tuck down to the bottom, and that gives the momentum there to that middle line. Grant Wesley with a rear bumper full of Chuck McClure. Ron Hagelin has gone a lap down after serving the pass-through. Right now, Mark Paglia and Ron Hagelin, the 2 drivers in the free pass positions. Joe DeSpirito, the only other lap machine, but he is 2 laps down.
You ever stop to think that maybe you're 2 laps down?
Well, according to scoring right now, I am currently, you as well, are 25 laps down.
You're 2 laps down in life.
Oh, Chuck McClure!
Oh, Lord. He almost turned Grant with that one.
Late move there into 3, and Grant went for the late block, and that nearly did not have the results either one of those drivers were looking for.
Wonder when these cars are going to come down pit road. I still don't see any indications right now.
Yeah, they had that caution come out on, I think it was lap 4 or 5. We didn't get back green till lap 8, so we're probably looking at another 3 to 4 laps, I think.
Lap and a half. I would assume maybe a lap and a half.
I think they can go a little further than that.
I think you can go a little further than that.
No, probably not. My fuel tank is tiny.
Oh boy, the 22. You heard it here first, guys. Seth Cole admitted his fuel tank is tiny.
I have a tiny fuel tank.
We're so dumb sometimes. Well, they're getting single file at the front now.
I think, yeah, either these drivers got scared into the couple of near misses we have, or they're all getting themselves ready for that green flag pit stop. I'm thinking it's more the latter than the former. Kelly Causey in the double zero has fallen back. A number of other drivers have fallen a long ways back as well. Cy Jones, Brian Rawson, Ken Roberts, Billy Elliser, Tom Dixon, Doug Hewlick. I'm waiting to see if any of them did come to pit road here. Scoring has indicated they've all only made one pit stop, so they may have just lost touch with the pack. I do know that Roberts and I think it was it Hewlick? I think was the other car that were both involved in that big one on the back straightaway, so they might have been one of those that had aero damage, and they were fine if they had somebody pushing them to stay up in the lead pack, and they may have lost drafting partners and now have lost the lead group. But I'm looking right now, and yeah, none of them have come to pit road, so that would just be down to them losing the draft.
Still see no indications yet of coming to pit road.
I think probably, I would say, after they get back around, I think you're going to have a lot of radios lighting up. Brian Schilling spent 4 laps out in front. Grant Wesley about to complete. I'm sorry, did I say 4 laps? Brian Schilling had 7 laps out in front, I should say. Grant Wesley.
Oh, wait, I see stuff lighting up.
Grant Wesley is about to lead his 8th.
The 143. I think that's Tom Dixon.
Well, close. Dixon. The other Dixon.
It's Bob. His name is Bob.
Brian Rawson in this lap as well. There was another driver that came in with Bob Dixon. I couldn't tell who that was. That was Keith Bynum in the 63. And usually when Bob Dixon jumps to pit road, that's an indication we're about 1 to 2 laps away from everybody else making the dive onto pit road. Doug Hewlick just went a lap down in the 23. Bobby Farrell, who had that spin off of 4 with Ron Hagelin that didn't bring out the yellow, he's about to go a lap down. He's got somebody else there that he's drafting with. Oh, that's Ron Hagelin in the 111, who's already -1. Here comes Denny Carroll onto pit road from the 3rd position.
Oh, my lord, and somebody else behind him is coming in a hurry.
Brian Lovell, Randy Waugh,
Luigi,
Graham McDonald, and Mike Mangialardi.
At a farm.
I don't know why that one specifically makes me chuckle every time now. Cy Jones. Maybe it's the meme that RJ sent me. Maybe that's why.
Why?
He sent me a meme of a guy saying, this is what happens when I try to go to sleep with my ADHD. 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, cow, chicken, turtle. Old MacDonald had a farm. Hey, Macarena!
Yep. I can relate to that.
And now whenever you say that Old MacDonald had a farm, now I think of that meme.
Nope, you did that every time I say it. You just have to say, hey, Macarena.
Hey, Macarena.
Here comes the leaders.
All of them coming to pit road here. It's going to be the biggest
hey, look,
group. Oh, Jeremy!
Look at the save.
Wow!
Holy moly.
That's going to hold up Brian Schilling and co., but credit to them for woeing up, allowing Jeremy to...
Oh, and there goes the 39 of Metallic.
Wait, where? Oh, yep. The Gray Ghost.
Oh, he wishes he was one right now, so he could go through all those cars. That's going to cost him.
That's iRacing. Tim Knopfsker stayed out.
Man,
so did Glenn Harris and John Godfrey.
Because the guy who has the first pit stall is commentating the race.
That's true. That might actually be a good thing, though, for the driver that ends up being
Wow, look at the kind
second.
of lead that Grant had coming off of pit road.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. Grant Wesley may be one of the best in the business of maximizing time on pit road. Nofsker, Godfrey, and Glenn Harris all coming into pit road here. Woo! Bobby Farrell very slow on his entry to pit lane and almost got sideswiped by Doug Hewlick. Keith Bynum, I think, was one of the earlier ones to come to pit road, and he's out cycled to about 33rd. I don't know if he had a speeding penalty or not. Nothing's showing up on my scoring. But to your point, Michael, there is the 88 who will eventually cycle to the lead. Chuck McClure, Chris Emery, Jeremy Jeffries. We're about to have, if Brian Schilling can catch up, we're about to have 3 of our 4 former winners on the season up here inside of the top 5. The only one that would be missing would be last week's winner, Joe DeSpirito, and he's currently trapped 2 laps down.
There's 088 all by himself, a sitting duck right there. Whoa, boy. Oh, that's the speed difference right
I wasn't sure if Chuck was just trying to follow Grant or if he thought about taking it 3 wide there. I think I think he had the room to make it a 3 wide, maybe use the 088 as a pick. But now the top 4 get themselves single filed out. They're going to split 3 wide for 5th place. Brian Schilling with a head of steam. Greg Palmer, Denny Carroll, Donnie Garrett going to get around Tim Nofsker. Nofsker will then tuck in line behind these 4 into the 9th spot. Glenn Harris should cycle to 10th. Randy Waugh
Luigi
into 11th place, and looks like John Godfrey will be 12th. Bob Seminara, 13th place right now. 14th for Wiley Coate. 15th Jessica Shelton, and then a bunch of drivers back here. Crivello, Brian Lovell, Terry Bombard, Graham McDonald. And
Farm.
I gave you the pause, and I didn't
know, that's why I said it.
And then Mike Mangialardi. Looks like they're going to be the top 20 here. Mangialardi, the provisional pole sitter, but not the true pole sitter tonight. Oh! Greg Palmer in the grass, and he's going to loop it around, but it's down below the yellow line. Oh, no! No! Oh, gosh! Oh, that'll bring out a yellow.
No, if it didn't, I'd be surprised.
Yep, it definitely brings out the caution.
Oh, man.
Brian Lovell, Graham McDonald, Terry Bombard. Nowhere to go.
He almost had it. Was it ironic that I was listening to Amazing Grace on bagpipes when that happened?
Yeah, that might have been appropriate. I thought when Greg got it spun back around, I thought he was going to be good, and I don't know if when he downshifted into a lower gear, maybe he grabbed a gear and it wheel spun him back up the track. It looked like he was going to be good.
It's very possible.
Caution out for the second time here tonight, just after this first round of green flag pit stops, and Grant Wesley going to pick up the pace car here on the back straightaway. Scoring has Billy Elliser and Ron Hagelin as the lucky dog drivers. Keith Bynum caught a break because he was only maybe another lap away from going a lap down himself. Well, you saw it for the most part in real time. Let's take you back and take a look at it. We didn't exactly see how the 22 initially got out of shape. Let's see if we can figure that out. Palmer was running, I believe, in around the 6th, 7th position. Yeah, he was 6th. And he might get some help from the 33 here through the tri-oval. I'm sorry, that's not the 33. That's the 41 of Denny Carroll. Cannot bump in the tri-oval. And right here, he shifts it down to 2nd gear, and it comes back up the track, and man, where do you go? Nice job by Mike Mangialardi to be able to avoid all of that. Bob Dixon's going to have a little contact there with the 043. Not much, though. There's a number of cardinal rules in super speedway racing, and one of them, especially at Talladega, is do not bump in the tri-oval. It's where the car is at its lightest, and you see the 41 has a big run right here, and he just runs into the back of the 22. And then right there, the downshift. I thought at that point he was going to be good to go. It counter steers back up the track. And nowhere for Lovell, Bombard, or McDonald to be able to go. There you see the little slight hit with the left front for Bob Dixon into the 10 of Terry Bombard. Caution out. We're halfway through this race. This makes things interesting in terms of fuel strategy because theoretically, these drivers, if they all come to pit road here, which I believe a number of them already have under the first lap of pacing, they can make it on one more stop. The question is, though, when do you make that final stop? Because you could come to pit road with, what would it be, about maybe 15 laps to go, or you could come to pit road about 5 laps sooner than that when the fuel window opens. There's only about a 5-lap window, I think, between when you can make that final pit stop to make it the rest of the way.
Huh. We'll have to wait and find out. Okay. Recommendation, Seth, I was just informed, is going to be a can and a half.
Sounds about right, yeah, because 15 laps would be what you'd have left to make it the rest of the way on that final pit stop. So, yep, that sounds correct. Got your lap cars coming in. Grant Wesley going to make his way back up here to the front. I don't think you're going to see anybody take the wave around. I think we ran too many laps there, and there's too many laps left for anybody to consider staying out. They would have to probably pit under green and probably end up losing a lap as a result. Well, Grant Wesley, we obviously know, as we've heard from numerous times when we interview him post-race, he drives for XFM, but JT says that should be a new team name for him, and that's Golden Horseshoe Motorsports. I like it. It's also been fun the last couple of weeks to see drivers and their unique celebrations. The last time we were here at Talladega 2 weeks ago, Brian Schilling had that burnout that went the entirety of the front straightaway. Made a little detour to the RTG logo in the infield. Last week, we got treated to the Joe DeSpirito reverse burnout. Be interesting to see who wins here tonight and what kind of unique celebration they're going to have, as we will be somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 laps to go here. A little less when we get back racing. There you see Ron Hagel and Billy Elliser pulling up on the outside. They will get the lucky dogs, and it does look like the 92 of Bobby Farrell and the 6 of Brian Rawson, they are going to elect to take the wave around. It's a bold strategy for both of these drivers. This would put Farrell at 1 lap down and would put Brian Rawson, I believe, back on the lead. No, actually, Brian's being scored the leader. He was on the lead lap. He's out there leading a couple of laps and may make the dive onto pit road here at the 1 to green. So that's an interesting call. Put him a little off sequence with the rest of the field if we continue to go green to the end. Let's see if he does come to pit road, or is he planning to lead us to green on this restart? Nope, here he comes to pit road. So Farrell will be the only driver that will take the wave around, and it will put him to -1. The other lap machines will include Doug Kulik, who is 1 lap down, and then Mark Paglia, Joe DeSpirito, who are 2 laps down each. A couple of drivers that had a lot of storyline coming into tonight. Paglia, the cut line driver, 12th in the standings coming into this evening. And Joe DeSpirito, of course, fresh off his victory last week That moved him up into the top 20 in points, into a playoff spot, but I don't know. With being currently trapped, the last car running, 2 laps down in 37th, I don't know if he'll make up ground to get further up into the top 20 tonight or not. He needs this to be a bit of a race of attrition in the closing stages to pick up a couple more spots. He will pick up one position, as Brian Lovell has brought his machine to the garage area. He was the one that got the full brunt of the 22 of Palmer coming back up the racetrack there into turn 1. So he will finish last here tonight. Bobby Farrell, Joe DeSpirito, Mark Paglia have to complete a couple more laps before he will eventually drop to the 37th position. So the way they line up here for this restart, Grant Wesley, Chris Emery will be the front row. Chuck McLaurin, Brian Schilling back in row 2. Tim Nofsker, Donnie Garrett, row 3. Then it's Jeremy Jeffries, John Godfrey, Glenn Harris, and Randy Waugh. The top 10. "37 laps in the books, 36 drivers still running, 32 of them on the lead lap, working only our second caution of the night. Mention the fact Grant Wesley so far this week, 3 races, 3 checkered flags. 1 on Tuesday night, 2 last night. Now looking for his first win on the season here in the Tally Challenge.
Well, you're a Tuesday night.
On a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday.
Grant Wesley, of course, as well, trying to extend his points lead here in this series. 18 points over Brian Schilling, 26 over Jessica Shelton, 30 over Emery, and 31 over Jeffries and Nofsker. Green flag in the air. Brian Schilling, with that missing first gear, jumps up to the top there, and he's going to drop quite a ways back. I think if you're Brian Schilling, you'd love to see this thing go green to the end because you don't want to see any more restarts, especially late in this one. But you look at a couple of drivers like Schilling and
we just
DeSpirito.
had something happen here. Ulysses has lost third gear.
A lot of drivers losing gears here tonight.
What is this? What is this, Maverick?
So Schilling's lost first. Surratt has lost second. Ulysses has lost third. So now if a driver loses fourth gear, we've completed the set.
Yeah, what is this, Maverick?
Why isn't Nick Gunther in this race?
I was going to say, where's Nick Gunther?
Oh, man. I hate that we buried him like that. Nick, if you're watching this, I'm kind of sorry.
He's not watching this, so you don't have to be sorry. It's okay. I'm waiting for his comment. Hey, I am here.
Everyone migrating up to the middle line. A couple of drivers down at the bottom. Looked like Donnie Garrett was one of them. Glenn Harris another. I'm looking, we talked about the drivers around that 12th position in points, and a number of them have had some hard luck here tonight. Paglia was the cut line driver. Ron Hagelin with the issue. He just got the lucky dog to get back on the lead lap. Greg Palmer involved in that last caution. But how about some of the drivers around that cut line that are having good nights? I mean, Glenn Harris was up there in the top 10 after the green flag pit stop cycle. He's now drifting back after getting freight trained. He's still on that inside line, but he's been having a decent evening. Graham McDonald, up until getting involved in that incident over in 1, he was having a solid night. Bob Seminara, who is 16th in points. He's currently in the 6th position with John Godfrey right behind him. So big opportunity for a number of drivers here tonight. Again, a full field to be able to work their way up into the top 12 in the point standings. Doesn't matter if you have a win or not. If you're top 12 in points at the conclusion of the regular season race, the regular season ending race, I should say, in 3 weeks at Burt Screwdrivers Raceway, you're going to be battling for a championship. And a lot of drivers, they focus on that. If they're in a position to win the race, absolutely they're going to go for it. But a lot of drivers, they'll head into the season just looking for consistency, which is a difficult thing to do at superspeedway racing, the unpredictability that it brings to the table. But they look to put themselves above that cut line as best they can, give themselves a little breathing room, a little bit of cushion, to ensure that they're going to battle for a championship. I mean, remember, what was it, 2 seasons ago? Richard Martin won the championship, didn't win a single race that year.
Yep, shows that every point system can be exposed.
Yep.
I mean, Ryan Newman almost did it in the Cup format, too.
He did. That's true.
If only Harvick would have had a problem and Newman would have got passed for second.
But who was Matt Crafton did it in trucks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Grant Wesley continues to show the way. He's led the most laps so far here tonight.
Oh, there's an issue in the very back.
That's Billy Elliser. And caution is
out.
Yep.
26 on the track.
Of Billy Elliser, had just gotten the free pass under the last yellow.
Oh, it's going to be close on fuel, Seth. It's got to be close on fuel, Seth.
They're coming to take the caution with, what, 23 to go? Yeah. I think you're going to have your second half of the field all come down pit road at the 1 degree, and the question is, are the leaders going to do that?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. That's going to be interesting to watch.
Because we would go back green within the fuel window.
Your fuel window.
But you would maybe give up track position if you're up here at the front. They'll all come down pit road here on this first lap of caution, I think, or at least most of your leaders will. And then maybe they'll just try saving under the 2 or 3 pacing laps.
I would wait till 1 to go and come down pit road.
I would too.
It may cost me track position, but it'll get me closer towards the finish.
Yep, I agree with you, but we'll see what these drivers go with here in terms of strategy.
Well, imagine we have a race where you run out of gas. Where race ends on the yellow and somebody runs out of gas under yellow.
I'm trying to remember if we've ever had that. We've had where drivers have run out of fuel on the last lap under green flag, but I don't know if we've ever had a driver run out of fuel under caution.
We've had it in offline series. Never. I don't think I've ever seen it in online.
Yeah.
Well, boy, wouldn't that be something?
See what happens here with Billy Elliser. Oh, it happened in front of him. Looks like some bumper grab there. Graham McDonald, Greg Palmer, Glenn Harris, and then the 26 gets spun. And I think that was all in reaction to what was happening in front of them. Well, that caution was a big break for Bobby Farrell, who took the wave around. And I believe is in position to get the lucky dog here as well. So he'll be back in the lead lap along with Doug Hewlick. Here's a look. We're going to bring it back to the entrance to turn 1. Keep an eye on the Camel number 10 of Terry Bombard. They check up right there. That was Keith Bynum, Cy Jones, Terry Bombard. Then Graham McDonald, Greg Palmer, and Glenn Harris. And it was Brian Rawson who got into the left rear of Billy Elliser, spinning him around. Everybody was up in that middle line. When you have everybody single filed up into a single lane at a super speedway, it doesn't matter where it is, you're going to have to be ready for that checkup, the chain bumping, and with it taking place in the corner, you're more than likely going to have somebody get hooked at some point. They all did a good job there for the most part of keeping it straight, but unfortunately the contact between the 6 and the 26 sent Elliser around, puts us under our 3rd caution of the evening. And as you can see with Wiley Coe in front, most of your leaders, pretty much all of your leaders, made the dive onto pit road. We'll have to see here. Does Wesley cycle back out to the lead? Do other drivers come down pit road at the 1 to go? I mean, when we come around this time, it will be 21 laps remaining. And we've been told that if you save a lot under a green flag run, that's about the furthest you can make it on fuel, but very few drivers even get to that point. Usually we'll see the latest a driver goes is 20 laps. So you're asking an awful lot, and you obviously can't charge your way through the field if you're saving that much for a 21-lap stint. Wiley Coates got to come in. Bob Dixon going to stay out. This could be strategy on the part of Bob Dixon. He might be looking for a lap-led bonus point. Also, might have originally planned. He was going to come down pit road at the 1 to green. Bernie Mobs right behind him. We haven't talked about Bernie really at all tonight. Bernie Mobs doing well this season, up inside the top 10 in points. Struggled last week, but he had, I believe it was back-to-back top 5s prior to that. 8th in overall points coming into this one, 15 points above the 12th in the standings cut line. But he's been relatively quiet here this evening.
Well, sometimes you just got to try to fly under the radar.
Yeah, sometimes quiet isn't bad, right?
Oh, yeah, not really at all, yeah. And then all of a sudden it's a where did he come from moment.
Kevin Harvick would know. Kelly Causey there in that 3rd position. I think you're looking here at the 143, the 31, and the 00, those drivers that are planning on doing that 1 to green pitting strategy.
Well, Seth, our in-race reporter says it is very close.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
20 to go, 20 laps of fuel.
And the big thing here is if we don't have another caution, if the race doesn't end under yellow, we're probably going to go back green.
With 20 laps to go. Oh, no.
It would be with 19, right?
Yeah, and that's roughly the fuel window.
I don't think if you're the leader for that entire run, I don't think you can make it.
Yeah,
I think you'd use up too much fuel,
physics.
right?
CTS physics, yeah.
Yeah. Because usually if you're the leader for a stint, you can really only go about 18 laps.
So Seth, are you saying that we're going to see some half-throttling leaders go? It's a battle for who doesn't want to lead?
You know, every time I think that, we end up having a driver that stays out front and doesn't half throttle, just, I guess kind of hopes that a caution comes out. So I don't know. Grant's going to eventually inherit the lead here. I think these 3 drivers are coming to pit road, Dixon, Mobs, and Causey. So Grant's going to inherit the top spot once again. Man, I don't know. I don't like the situation. Jeremy Jeffries just saw him peel down to pit road. He's got nothing to lose. He's already got a victory this season. So he's going to make absolutely certain he's got enough fuel to get to the conclusion. I don't know if I like the call or not. We'll have to wait and see. Grant's very good at fuel saving. He's been out in front for 19 laps tonight. About to lead his 20th lap right there. He's the only driver that's led double-digit laps this evening. Next highest would be Brian Schilling, who has led 7 laps. 5 laps led for Tim Nofsker. 2 laps led for Jeremy Jeffries and Danny Carroll. And then 1 lap led apiece for Bob Dixon, Bob Seminara, Terry Bombard, Wiley Cope, Brian Rawson, and Joe DeSpirito. So it will be 19 laps to go when they get the green flag here. We'll see if Grant Wesley would have enough to be able to hold everybody in his rearview mirror and still be able to get around to the checkered flag. If a caution comes out between now and then, though, I think it's a moot point. Or as Joey Tribbiani would say, a moo point.
I hate you. Sometimes.
I made an Italian reference. You should be proud.
Yeah.
So for this restart, we'll have Grant Wesley, Tim Nofsker, the front row. Chuck McClure and Chris Emery, row 2. John Godfrey and Donnie Garrett, row 3. Jeff Crivello, Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
In row 4, and then Bob Seminara, Terry Bombard in the 5th row. Lucky dogs under that caution were Doug Hewlick and Bobby Farrell. 34 drivers on the lead lap of the 36 drivers still remaining. Only driver back in the garage area, Brian Lovell. And will this be the last thing the flagman will need to do before he picks up the white flag?
Oh, let's hope. A lot of people are banking on a caution, so we'll find out. I guess now would be the best time to play the Undertaker's theme song in the background.
Green flag in the air. 19 to go here this evening at Talladega. Grant with a big jump.
That was good timing. Right as Grant crossed the line, the gong.
The gong went off.
For Undertaker's music went off.
And the caution's out again.
Somebody blew up.
As Glenn Harris on pit road.
Well, there's the caution that they
Oh.
needed. Wow, the green flag comes out, Grant hits the line, gong sounds, somebody blows a motor.
So you played Amazing Grace when the 22 came back up into the field, and the gong goes off when the 88 blows up, or when the 8 blows up. Man, you gotta stop commentator cursing here, even if it's with music.
Yeah, right, for real.
Glenn Harris is already retired out of the race. Engine clutch, the reasoning. I'm talking about Glenn was having a good night. Did a great job on the cycle of green flag pit stops. Came into this race below the cut line, was looking to work his way up there. He was at the very tail end of this group here also. And you'll see as they're getting themselves ready to go up through the gears for this restart, you'll see the black plume of smoke coming out from underneath the Krispy Kreme Chevy. It's hard to tell there. The spectator is only able to occasionally know exactly what gear drivers are in, but it almost looked like he was in first gear riding through the tri-oval, and that car just never accelerated. Let's go inside his machine and see if we can hear anything. Throws in the clutch right there. Oh, it looks... Yeah, right there. There's the restart, and you hear him throw in the clutch, downshift it there, but because there was a car behind him... Or actually, no. He was down in the apron. That's interesting. The car stopped on the apron, and the yellow flag came out for that. That normally doesn't happen. If it's up on the racing surface, then normally the caution comes out, or if there is cars in the vicinity, that's not a usual thing to happen at a super speedway if the car is down off the racing surface, because it took a long time, as you saw with that onboard, for the caution to actually come out. So, well, that's the caution that all these leaders wanted, because I think that it's safe to say now, Grant, Tim, Chuck, Chris, any of these drivers that were close to not being able to make it, they've got all these caution laps here that they're going to be able to save fuel. We've got lap cars as well, so add an extra lap of pacing. So that's exactly what they wanted to see. Now I think fuel will no longer be a concern, which is a good thing for them, but it's also a good thing for us, because now they're going to be more willing to race it up here in the closing stages.
Possibly. We'll have to wait and see.
Mark Paglia, Joe DeSpirito, both 2 laps down, will get the lucky dog here under this yellow flag. I want to thank all the sponsors that make it possible for us to bring you coverage every Thursday night of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series, 260 Motorsports, Ultimate Garage Floors, the Dixon Brothers, and Rodney Sullen's Paint Designs. Appreciate all of them and their support of the series, allowing us to be able to give you coverage of it here on FRN. We've got some pacing laps here before we put them back under green with what will be a little less than a 15-lap shootout to decide our 5th potential different winner on the season. We're going to step aside for an FRN race break. Don't go anywhere. Coverage continues right after this. We welcome you back here to Talladega Super Speedway, getting ready for some more late race theatrics. We've already been treated to a green-white checkered and one-lap shootout this season. We're going to have a little bit more laps on the docket here, at least for this upcoming restart. Going to be 14 laps to go. Let me
Fuel's
put them back
becoming
under.
less of an issue as this caution winds
Yep,
down.
I don't think it'll be an issue at all now. These drivers are right
But
on the
your
window of
face
being
is
able
an
to
issue,
make
though.
it. Okay. They're right on the
Wiley.
window being able to make it prior to this most recent caution. And now with about 3 to 4 laps to be able to pace and clutch and save, they all should be good to go. Grant Wesley, Tim Nofsker ready to get us back under the green flag here with Chuck McClure and Chris Emery, the pushers behind them in row 2. Green flag set to fly. Quick update. You may have seen it there under our FRN race break. The 5 of Wiley Coat was having some connection problems, saw him blinking.
Still having it.
I think he's fallen out of the server. I just saw him fall out of the TeamSpeak.
Oh, yes, he probably is.
It's a tough break there for Wiley. Wesley up to the middle with Nofsker. Chuck McClure will stay on the bottom. Good push there from John Godfrey going into turn 3. And he'll draw even with Wesley through 3 and 4.
Gilbert Godfrey, we miss you. This is where it's going to get intense.
That inside line still hanging tough. Usually that middle line prevails through the trial and on the back straightaway. But Chuck McClure, John Godfrey, nice tight draft down there. Jeff Crivello as well. Chuck trying to push Grant up there. Got to be careful with that.
Third lane trying to form.
And that's Jeremy Jeffries leading that line. Milt Surratt going to jump up there. Jessica Shelton also. Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Now up to that third lane. It's gotten to be habit now that I'm just leaving you that space.
Yeah, until you don't.
Ooh, Jeremy Jeffries. I thought they were wrecking, but that was Jeremy actually making an evasive move from the top to the middle to pull in behind the 33 of Graham McDonald.
Has a farm.
Graham was involved in that second caution over here in turn 1. Doesn't look like that car is any the worse for wear as he's made his way up into the top 10, and Graham came into this race just below the cut line, 2 points below Mark Paglia. Paglia currently still 1 lap down in the 34th position, so Graham could find himself up into the top 12 in a playoff spot by the end of the night.
Absolutely. Seth, we know how dangerous it is when Grant Wesley has the lead here at these tracks.
Grant Wesley, probably when it comes down to the closing stages, maybe one of the toughest drivers to get around potentially. I would throw Brian Schilling into that mix. Chuck McClure as well. A lot of drivers. It's amazing when a lot of people don't realize what goes into super speedway racing, how you have to have a good balance between offense and defense. But I would say just personally for me, I don't know how you feel about this side of the spectrum, it's a lot easier for me to charge through the field than it is to try and keep everybody behind me. I feel like defensive racing at a super speedway is maybe one of the most difficult things to do because I think there's a lot more room for error in that regard than there is when you're trying to move forward. Oh, and Graham McDonald! Oh my gosh, hard hit for McDonald and Chuck McClure. McClure almost went up and over. Brian Schilling collected up in that. We've got a big one into the tri-oval. The 33 got hooked. He got the 17 in the right rear, and the 92 is in the catch fence.
Yeah, stuck in the catch fence. Well, he was. That was crazy. They're still wrecking.
Greg Palmer in the 22. There's Chuck McClure in the 17. Well, I talked about earlier tonight that it's difficult to tell with this Aero 88 car if a driver has damage or not. You can definitely see there's damage on the RLM Arena Chevrolet Monte Carlo.
Yeah. Caution flag at 10 laps to go.
So we're going to have a restart under 10 to go, maybe around the 5 laps to go mark. And it will be interesting to see what started this one, at least because how quickly the 33 darted down to the inside. I'm wondering if we may have had a bump in the corner there. And when he got Chuck McClure in the right rear quarter panel, it just sent them both up the track. Here's a look at it. We'll focus on the 33, at least for this first replay. Jeremy Jeffries right behind him in the 1. Yeah, it looks like Jeremy gets Graham McDonald in the left rear. Wow. 33 up and over, and he bounced off the roof of both the 9 and the 29, and then gets clobbered by Bobby Farrell, and that's what puts Farrell up into the catch fence.
The fence of the catch.
Milt Surratt in the 80 took a big hit there. I don't think he drove away from the incident. Seen a number of other drivers further up that were collected. Tom Dixon, Josh Metallic, Jessica Shelton, Bernie Mobbs. We'll show you more replays and more angles of how all these drivers got collected up. I think Doug Kulik may have gotten a piece. Let's focus this time on the 17 of Chuck McClure. Take a look at this hit. This is almost Ryan Blaney-esque from that one summer Daytona race. Man. Kelly Causey gets him. Brian Schilling, Terry Bombard, Billy Elliser. There's Tom Dixon barrel rolling in the grass. McClure slides down through the infield grass there. Let's take some other looks here at some other drivers that took some hard licks. Tom Dixon was trying to work his way up into the top 15. And looks like he's good all the way through here. And then Brian Rawson's up on his roof. He slides into the 45 from the left. And the 45 goes barrel rolling through the grass. There's Bob Dixon involved there. Right beside his brother. Joe Spirito snaking his way through. I believe Denny Carroll in the 41 I saw there through the smoke. He was involved. Got spun down into the infield grass. Let's find the 6 of Brian Ross and see how he got turned over.
The ride with the 92, that'd be a good one.
Oh, Denny Carroll caught some air, and then he lifts the 6 up, who then gets into the 45. Looks like Cy Jones got through that cleanly. Same for Ron Hagelin and Keith Bynum. Let's watch the 9 of Jessica Shelton and the 29 of Mike Mangialardi. They're both right around each other here. Watch how when the 92, I think it is, or no, the 33 right there, bounces off the roof of the 9 and then off the roof of the 29, almost like a skipping stone. And then Shelton slides up the track right there, gets the wall a little bit. Josh Metallic and the 39 gets spun around. There's Bernie Mobbs, Doug Kulik, Randy Waugh. Wild rides for a number of drivers there. Let's see. Keith Bynum, I think, will give us a good onboard of
this. Have you not
this.
showed the onboard of the 92 yet?
I don't know if the camera survived. We'll do Keith Bynum first, and then we'll see if we've got ourselves an onboard. We have to do an in-car with Bobby Farrell. I don't think the roof cam would have survived.
Crawling along down the back straightaway.
Look at how that wreck made its way all the way from turn 4, nearly down to the start-finish line.
Yeah,
that's the long one.
Yep, I was just about to make that reference too.
Now we'll see if the in-car cam on the 92 survived or not. But this was a sudden stop for Bobby Farrell. Look at all the smoke. You can't tell where anybody is. All of a sudden, you see him hard on the brakes when the 33 came back up into his path and launches him up into the catch fence where he comes to rest. Well, up until that point, we had 35 drivers still in this race from the 37 that started. One driver, Brian Lovell, was out due to crash damage. Glenn Harris out due to a mechanical failure, but 2 more drivers will join them in the garage after this one. And they are going to include the 80 of Milt Surratt and the 92 of Bobby Farrell. Lucky Dogs just went around to get their laps back. Wiley Coat, Joe DeSpirito, they are both back on the lead lap. Mark Pagli will be the only driver 1 lap down in 33rd. And I think I just heard you say, yeah, 6-lap shootout to decide this thing. And we're going to be going, we've got that lap car, so we're going to be going green. Wow, how close? A lap? 2 laps from that point of no return where the race would end under yellow? We go back on completion of 60 onto 61, so yeah, what, 2 laps, I think. Well, Grant's about to lead more than half of this race here tonight. I don't recall if he led the most laps in the Michigan race that he won on Tuesday night, but I know that on both, I believe it was both the Atlanta races that he won last night, he did not lead the most laps in either one of them. But he has led 32, about to be 33 laps here tonight in this one, and looking to close it out with a victory. Chris Emery, who's already been to victory lane, that 000, he has been up here all night long inside of the top 5, looking for his 2nd win on the season. Looking to be the first multi-time winner here in season 62. And then you got a number of other candidates looking for their first win on the season. Nofsker and Garrett in 3rd and 4th. John Godfrey in 5th. Crivello in 6th. Bob Seminara in 7th. Ken Roberts is up here in 8th. That car was barrel rolling on the back straightaway within the first 10 laps of this race. And he's up here in the top 10. Brian Schilling, who has no second gear, he's up in 9th. Cy Jones is in 10th place, looking for his best finish on the season as the green flag is back out here at Talladega. 6 laps remaining.
It'll be interesting to watch as they get up to speed.
Great launch there for Grant. Does he go to the middle or does he stay to the bottom? It looks like the run's coming on that inside line. Nofsker gets up to the back bumper of the 88. Chris Emery and Donnie Garrett, they weren't quite able to get that big run that they wanted there on that top side. Oh, and we've had a mechanical failure, but it doesn't look like there's a caution for it. The 096 Ulysses Sandoval engine gearbox, and he just now parked the car. No yellow flag. We stay green. There's been an abnormal amount of mechanical problems here tonight. I don't think we've, at least it's not been brought to our attention in the first 4 races, of a lot of drivers having problems with losing gears or blowing engines. But so far here tonight, at least 3 drivers that we know of have had gear failures. Oh, we got a wreck! That's Tim Nofsker around in the back straightaway. Donnie Garrett involved there. Keith Bynum. Think that might end the race?
I think so, with lap cars.
We'll stay up here at the front then, because it is race back, and look who's lined up behind. Grant Wesley, John Godfrey, Bob Seminara looking to work together. Godfrey up to the top. Wesley looks to throw the block. Godfrey is still there. It's 2 cars against 1. Wesley trying to squeeze John Godfrey up there, and it's going to be Godfrey edging ahead, picking up the caution, and may very well have just picked up his first win on the season.
That was close.
It was 2 weeks ago at this very racetrack. John Godfrey was scheduled to start the race, had a medical emergency, was admitted to the ER just prior to the green flag when we came on the air. And 2 weeks later, he may be going to victory lane here at Talladega and locking himself up a spot in the playoffs. John Godfrey coming into this race, currently positioned 38th in the point standings. If he ends up winning this race under caution, he's got a lot of work to do to get himself up into the top 20, but he will have 3 more races to work with, and the bonus points that come with winning tonight's event as well, so it's definitely not mathematically impossible by any means, but we have to wait and see if indeed this race is ending under yellow. Michael, you seem to feel that this is indeed going to be the conclusion of this one. Let's go back and see what potentially has ended this race here tonight. Tim Nofsker and Donnie Garrett, a couple of the drivers in the vicinity of where this began. Nofsker had restarted up inside of the top 5. And it looks like it might have been the 3rd lane where the trouble began, but you had Nofsker by himself in the middle, so he gets swept up into it. Watch here as Donnie Garrett... Oh, actually, Garrett gets hit from behind by Cy Jones. That sends him down into Nofsker, and then Keith Bynum never lifted, tried to shoot the gap, and he clobbers the 77. And I think he got the 7 car as well. Looks like there were only about maybe 4 cars involved in this one, surprisingly. But it brings out the caution. It may have ended this race under yellow here tonight at Talladega. We'll take another look at it real quick from another angle. They stacked up on that outside line there. I think Garrett had to lift for Emery, and that had Cy Jones into the back of him. 77 catches there. 088. Rear tires come off the ground. There's the shot from Keith Bynum. Joe DeSpirito down the inside. Wow! Chuck McClure. Holy cow. We're going to watch the race back to what might have been the proverbial checkered flag in a minute, but I want to go on board with the 17 because he just barely had enough room to be able to get by before the hole closed up with the 7 of Cy Jones. Watch this. Chuck McClure dealing with damage that he got from a couple cautions prior. Joe DeSpirito just ahead of him that had gotten back on the tail of the lead lap. Watch this. Goes down all the way to the bottom, as far as you can go, down to the inside wall. Here comes the 7. Hello! Just barely able to squeak through.
Just enough.
Restarted 27th did Chuck McClure, and he crossed the line 23rd. DeSpirito was 22nd. He crossed the line in 18th, so they both managed a net gain there of where they probably would have finished had that wreck not taken place. Both of them damaged and off the pace due to being involved in earlier incidents. But we'll now show you the race back here, as I believe we've just hit 2 to go.
And the lights are still on.
So that would pretty much indicate this race is over. Here's a look at it through 3 and 4. John Godfrey, Bob Seminara. You had to know if Godfrey made a move, Seminara was going to go with him. Both of them with the LaJoie's sponsorship on their machines. And Grant tried to defend. He almost put Godfrey up to the wall. Look how much room he doesn't give the 711 there through the tri-oval. But Godfrey stuck with it. He knew he had the 712 to draft with him. And Godfrey crosses the line by about 3/4 of a car length over Grant Wesley, and is more than likely going to win this race here tonight, becoming the 5th different winner on the season. Wesley's going to get credited for 2nd, 1 spot shy of a checkered flag here tonight after leading the most laps. Bob Seminara is going to bring it home in the 3rd position. This third place should put Seminara up into the top 12. Wesley, with the second place run, will certainly extend his points lead, and a storyline will be fun to follow here down the home stretch of the regular season will be John Godfrey with this victory. Can he get himself up into the top 20 in points? That's all he has to do for this win here tonight to count towards a playoff position. We've already talked last week about DeSpirito getting that victory and now having to get up in the top 20 in points. He may fall out of the top 20 in points after tonight. I don't know if 18th will be enough to keep him up there or not, after he ran 37th for, I think it was the entire first half of this race. So he almost cut the field in half there. How about Jeff Crivello? Going to bring it home in the 4th position here tonight. That'll be his best finish of the season by far. And Ken Roberts, mentioned about the fact that that car was barrel rolling on the inside of the racetrack on the back straightaway on our first caution, the caution that Joe DeSpirito was involved in, and he's going to bring it home inside of the top 5. Brian Schilling missing that second gear. He's going to be in 6th. Chris Emery in 7th, so a couple of your former winners up there in 6th and 7th. Good run for Buckshot tonight, as Kelly Causey will be 8th. Billy Elliser, we saw him around by his lonesome there for, I think it was our 4th caution. He's going to get up into the 9th spot, and Jessica Shelton, another solid top 10 run for the 9 car. 3rd in the point standings, and she will complete the top 10 here this evening. So, a lot of drivers here getting some good results, maybe some well-needed results here in preparation for these final 3 races before the playoffs begin.
Yep, and that's going to be the most interesting part of the series, Seth. You never know who's going to make it. You never know who's going to be the one to be crowned the champion at the end.
Absolutely. Exciting finish there, albeit under caution. Appreciate some other people just chimed in here in our chat. Craig Hagley, Allison Rodrigo, Zach Rogers, Brian Lovell. Rough race, wrong place, wrong time. Yeah, for sure, Brian. Nothing you could do there. As we're waiting for them to make their way here out of turn number 4. And John Godfrey looking to pick up his first win of season 62. Former winner here in the Talladega Challenge Series. I'm going to have to go back and see how long it's been since his last trip to Victory Lane. It's been a couple of seasons, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to double check on that. As through the tri-oval at maybe an agonizing 70 miles per hour for John Godfrey. He wants to get there as soon as he can. Behind that rusty little tribute pace car, John Godfrey becomes the 5th different winner on the season. He'll take the checkered flag here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. And now will set his sights on the top 20 in points and a playoff spot. This has got to be a popular win here tonight, you'd have to think. A feel-good win. And there's always one. It's Kelly Causey tonight. There's always one driver that spins out the race winner.
Always, always, always.
Usually on Monday nights, I always try and be that one driver.
You always succeed at it most of the time.
No, actually, last time I tried it, I think somebody else beat me to it. I was like the next car behind, and somebody spun out the race winner, and I didn't get to.
Big sad.
What kind of a victory celebration are we going to see here out of John Godfrey tonight?
You got the questions tonight, Seth.
RTG admin's always really good at getting the points all calculated for us before we go off the air, so we'll definitely let you know where Godfrey is positioned points-wise after his victory tonight. He came into this evening's race 38th in the point standings. If I could do the quick math in my head, he was 57 points below the 12th position in standings, and he was 43 points below the 20th position in points. So we'll see how much ground he was able to make up as the celebration begins for the 7-Eleven Town Fair Tire LaJoie's machine. Lost in the cloud of smoke right there. This may
I'm
be a
gonna go to the little
very...
commentator's room.
Okay. This may be a very lengthy celebration for one John Godfrey. And he'll park it right on the start-finish line. Right in front of the flag stand. John Godfrey, your winner, and we'll now take a look at tonight's full finishing results before we talk with John Godfrey and the rest of our podium finishers, which will consist of Grant Wesley and Bob Seminara. We took you down through your top 10 with Crivello, Roberts, your top 5, Schilling, Emery, Causey, Elliser, and Shelton, the top 10. Brian Rawson, good run for him tonight in 11th. Jeremy Jeffries will bring it home in 12th. Ron Hagelin, 13th. He was a lap down earlier on tonight. Good battle back for him. Josh Metallic and Denny Carroll, the top 15. Terry Bombard was 16th. Randy Waugh, 17th. Joe DeSpirito, who lost a lap due to a tow after he was flipping down the back straightaway and ended up on his roof, brings it home in 18th. That's a good comeback for him. Doug Kulik and Wiley Cote, after connection problems, going to complete the top 20. Greg Palmer was 21st. Bob Dixon, 22nd. Chuck McClure in 23rd. Bernie Mobbs and Tom Dixon, your top 25. Tim Nosker caught up in that last wreck. We'll bring it home in 26th. Graham McDonald, 27th. Keith Biden was also in that last wreck. He'll finish in 28th. Same for Donnie Garrett, who was 29th. Mike Mangialardi, who started this race from the inside of the front row, he'll finish in 30th, and the last driver to finish this race was Cy Jones. Mark Paglia, a wheel issue for the 28. He came in the cut line driver, 12th in points. He was the first driver out in 32nd. Ulysses Sandoval with a mechanical problem, 33rd. Milt Surratt and Bobby Farrell due to crash damage, 34th and 35th. Glenn Harris with a mechanical problem on a restart, 36th. And Brian Lovell will finish in the 37th position here tonight. As we head into our FRN post-race wind down, it's time to dial up some drivers, and let's see if we can kick things off with the driver that brings it home in the 3rd position here tonight. Let's see if we can get a hold of Bob Seminara.
User was moved.
Hey Bob, it's Michael and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
Hey, what's going on, boys?
Wild race here tonight. Kind of looked like at first it was going to be maybe a bit of a caution fest. Then it kind of shifted into a long green flag run. Then you guys had to start being concerned about fuel, and then it shifted back to a bit of a survival fest in the closing stages. But we got to that final restart, what ended up being the final restart. Obviously, we say up here around that lap 61, lap 62 mark, kind of that point of no return where the race is going to end under yellow. Did you already have a strategy worked out between yourself and the 7-Eleven to get around the 88, and when and if that caution flew?
You mean if, yeah, I mean, things were changing, Tim went middle, then they went 3 wide on him, so that kind of opened it up, and then I saw the wreck behind us, and then it was pretty much just between the 3 of us. So I just stayed with John. He deserved that win, so he needed one.
Obviously, here tonight, it seemed like everybody at one point or another was at the front and then at the back, kind of having to work their way back forward. We saw you at one point actually stay out and lead a lap, give up track position. Were you at that point thinking that this was going to be a fuel strategy race, or were you just looking for that extra bonus point security? Because we mentioned about the fact you come into tonight 16th in the point standings, hovering right around that 12th in the standings cut line.
Yeah, it was one of those deals where I got caught in that wreck up near the front, and I did hit the wall. It wasn't showing any damage, but I knew it was early in the race, so I come in, I'd lead that lap, get that, and I'd have time to make it back up. I didn't have damage. So it was pretty good from there. I mean, passing a lot of cars, but I'm having some trouble in the pits, whether it's my own fault or getting caught up. So I didn't get fuel there. I wasn't all the way in my stall there on the next to last stop. Lost about 6 spots, but I made it up at the end, luckily.
Michael and I were talking about before you guys took the green flag, the fact that now you've got 4 races under your belt this season. We've crossed over into the second half of the regular season. The playoffs are on the horizon. Now, obviously, for us and the folks at home, a lot of our focus is around that 12th in the standings cut line. But what about for you here coming into tonight? Were you looking at the drivers that are around you around that cut line, or are you still focused on locking yourself into the playoffs via a checkered flag?
Yeah, I'm still looking for checkered flags, but it's got a lot to do with where you start. And then, at some point you're deciding, I'll be happy with a top five or a top 10. And, I was back there at 33rd, pretty about halfway through the race. So I was looking for a top 10. And yeah, I'm not really looking at who's around me as far as points yet.
Well, still 3 races left to go. A lot of stuff can happen between now and then, but a solid podium finish for you here tonight may actually mathematically propel you up into the top 12 in points when we head to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway next week. We'll have to wait and see how that shakes out. But congratulations on the great run here tonight. I'd forgotten you were involved in that early caution, so a comeback run for you as well during the course of this race here this evening. Bob, before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, Chris Emery had a good run. I was chasing him for the bracket. He was up front all night. Um, got him at the end. Yeah, congrats to John, and Grant had a good run there. Appreciate you guys, FRN and RTG and the admins. It's still the best place to race. Look forward to coming out here every Thursday. Mobs Motors, Bernie's Paints, FTMF, and that's it. We'll try again next week.
That's Bob Seminara, third place here tonight at Talladega Super Speedway. Some good momentum here to kick off the second half of the regular season. Congrats on the great run. Best of luck next week.
Thanks, Michael and Seth. Have a good week.
User was moved out of your channel.
Bob Seminara, it looks like we have got the point standings calculated, and I'm not sure they are correct. So we'll hold off on the announcement of who is where. But we will now see if we can get a hold of our second place finisher here tonight, and that's Grant Wesley.
User was moved
Hey,
to
Grant,
your
is Michael and
channel.
Seth up here in the FRM booth? You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, a great run for you here tonight. We're definitely looking like the favorite. Led 34 of the 66 laps this evening, but talk me through that defensive play there out of 3 and 4. I mean, you probably knew the 711, the 712 were going to make a move on you. We saw you try and push them up there as high as you could through the tri-oval. What little more could you have done to make sure that you nosed it out there coming to that caution?
Yeah, huge congratulations to John Godfrey. First off, I know he's been digging hard all week long. I mean, for a long, long time. Runs every night of the week, and he's had a lot of hard luck. I'm just happy to see him get a win there. But yeah, uh, I guess I'll just from that last restart there. I restart on the pole. Had some good cars on the bottom. Mainly looking to kind of stick with them, just kind of play the lanes, see what they did, and uh, I seen Tim jump to the outside. I figured I could probably defend the bottom a lot easier than the middle. Frankly, I was kind of afraid that if you're in the middle, they'd go 3 wide on you, which is ultimately what happened to Tim. And yeah, uh, basically, I seen John coming there at the end on the last lap there, coming to the caution, and just I used up as much track as I could. Frankly, I thought there was cars tighter to Bob Seminara. I figured there'd be somebody that could pick me up on the bottom lane. That was sort of my plan there. But after I ran them wide, I seen there was nobody behind Bob, and I was basically, my bed was made, and that's all I could do. But yeah, like I said, congratulations to John.
Now, ultimately, when we ended up having, I think it was the caution for the Glenn Harris mechanical failure, it kind of put all of you into a little bit of a sigh of relief. You can make it on fuel. But prior to that, we were right on the number about maybe the max that you guys can go on a full tank of fuel. You were out in front. We know that your MO is get to the front, stay at the front. We saw that here tonight. But in that situation, had you been able to save enough under those pacing laps, or if you had led most of that race under green coming up to the checkered flag, would you have been able to make it the rest of the way?
The caution that came out with 24 to go. We went green with like 21 to go. I was definitely gonna be short, but I refused to bury myself in traffic. I just played. I mean, I was just rolling the dice. I was counting on a caution. Unfortunately, we got a quick caution because I think someone blew their engine, so that was incredibly lucky. That was definitely some horseshoe luck. But yeah, I had to save some there.
Yeah, we actually ended up having JT Mayhew in our chat, and he said you got to change your team name. You got to be Gold Horseshoe Motorsports now, apparently. So you might have to start filing trademarks for a rebrand. Grant, obviously, we talk with drivers. We ask them their mentality coming into each race, and usually I end up getting an answer that I don't expect. Where were you at here? Because we're kicking off the second half of the regular season. The playoffs are coming up here very shortly. Obviously, you had your car in front tonight, but where was your main focus? Were you focusing on the win? Were you focusing on extending your points lead? The bracket series, you were in a good battle here tonight in the second round. So, what were you mostly focused on as a driver tonight?
Well, I'm always that bracket series is a lot of fun. I knew I was up against Josh tonight, so I knew he was going to be tough. So I was keeping an eye on him. Unfortunately, he had a rough night. But other than that, yeah, I was going for the win. I think I had like an 18-point lead in the points. So I had a buffer. Enough of a buffer where I could take some chances here. And yeah, I was definitely gunning for that win. Unfortunately, just fell a little short.
Still a great run for you here tonight. Your points lead does extend. Looks like 23 points you've got over second place coming into tonight, and still three more races to work with to grow it even more. We know that the regular season championship pays out bonus points towards the playoffs in 3 weeks' time, and of course, as well as you stated, looking still for that checkered flag for another added 5 bonus points if you're able to get that win between now and the conclusion of race 8. So still a lot of regular season still to go, a lot of things that can happen, but great run for you here tonight. Some good points as well with leading the most laps this evening. Before we let you go, floor is yours, Grant, for thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Yeah, once again, congratulations to John Godfrey on the win. Soak it up. Uh, Thanks to the owners here, David Cannon, Sean Prime, admins, Josh Wiley, and Tim. FRN, thanks for taking time out for us, Seth and Mike. I'd like to thank my teammates with XFM, my friends and family for watching, and my girlfriend, Brittany.
That's Grant Wesley. He brings it home second place here tonight. Continues to be the points leader here in season 62 of the Talladega Challenge Series. He'll look for that one position better next week when we head under the lights at Burnt Screwdrivers Race. But congrats on the great run tonight, Grant. Best of luck next week.
Yeah, thanks.
And let's see
User
if we
was moved out
can
of your
jump down to
channel.
victory lane and get a hold of tonight's race winner, John Godfrey.
User was moved
Hey,
to
John,
your
it's Michael and
channel.
Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got a copy?
I do, boys.
All right, walk me through that final run to what was eventually going to be the checkered flag, the proverbial caution here, if you will, but made the move right when you needed to. Didn't have a lot of space to work with, but you had the 712 committed to pushing you through the tri-oval. What was the nervous level there going through that? Because I was nervous for you up here in the booth.
Oh, yeah, Seth. Well, you know what kind of season it's been for me. So, in fact, I'm still not sure. I'm not dreaming this, but yeah, it was all made possible by my brother Bob Seminara. He went with me and made it possible. Anytime you can get around Grant Wesley in any kind of conditions on any track, it's a big deal, man. This gets a big monkey off my back. I'm really thrilled with the win.
Let's talk about, the last month or so, because we've already documented about the fact that, you were slated to roll off the grid here in an RTG race, ended up just before the green flag flying, being admitted to the ER. I mean, it's been a bit of a roller coaster of a month for you, but to be able to cap off this month of May with a checkered flag, just how much more does it mean?
Oh, it's beyond words. I had just basically, for all intents and purposes, given up on this season. But now if I can get that thing up in the top 20 in standings, I'll actually have a spot in playoffs. So, got to keep this momentum going and keep the good finishes coming, and hopefully we'll steer clear of any bad luck like tonight.
Yeah, let's talk about that with like the mentality change here. Now, I mean, the points are in 14 points, or 14 positions, I should say, gained 24th in points coming to this one. Looks like if my rough math can be calculated out here, about maybe 12 points below the cut line. So certainly doable even in one race. So with 3 races remaining here in the regular season, how do you plan out the consistency to get up in the top 20, stay in the top 20?
Well, the plan for consistency has been there every race. It just hasn't panned out the way I wanted. But maybe we'll be driving a little cautiously aggressive, if that makes sense, in the next 3 races to try and get that thing up there in the top 20 and steer clear of any danger on the track. I really had the racing gods looking out for me tonight.
For sure. We use the term cautiously aggressive up here in the booth as well. It's easy to say, not as easy in super speedway racing to put into practice. But John, obviously, congratulations on the victory here tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch you on your journey to try to get up there into the top 20 to secure the playoff spot. Obviously, snapping a bit of a winless streak as well, going back to season 58 right at the very beginning of the year on January 5th. So congratulations on that, and best of luck to you here down the remaining 3 races of this regular season as well in preparation for the playoffs. Before we let you get back to your celebrating there, first off, just want to let you know as well, we had Craig Hagley in our chat. He wanted us to let you know a big congratulations from him. Now we'll hand the mic over to you for Victory Link. Thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah, thank you guys. Want to say first and foremost, thanks to the boys back at the shop for giving me a fast hot rod, and appreciate the support from LaJoy's and the Joy of Seating, Randy LaJoy's custom design race seats. Big thanks to all the people who make this possible over here at RTG and the great league they put together. And of course, you guys up there in the booth for putting on a fantastic broadcast. We really appreciate Flatout Racing Network.
Well, John Godfrey becomes your 5th different winner on the season as he picks up the checkered flag here tonight at the Talladega Super Speedway. Congratulations on the victory. Go and enjoy it, and best of luck here in the remainder of this regular season.
All right. Thank you, fellas.
John Godfrey picking up the victory here tonight, and I'll tell you what, 5 different races, 5 different race winners. We've had everything from long green flag races, pit strategy races, late race shootouts, Cinderella stories. There's one thing about this particular series on Thursday nights, Michael. We are not starved for storylines. It seems like every time that we follow one storyline, we go off with like 3 or 4 different tangent storylines branching off of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what makes this series so exciting. You know, I love watching it and commentating it when I can. So yeah, it's never starved for excitement.
So we did have a little bit of a point snafu. That's why I said I didn't think the points were correct. That has been fixed. Grant Wesley, 23 points over Brian Schilling. Bob Seminara is now the cut line driver. His 3rd place run tonight puts him 12th in the point standings. Joe DeSpirito actually gained 5 spots in points here tonight after he was pretty much dead last for the first half of this race. And as we already documented, John Godfrey with the victory tonight jumped up to 24th in points. So if he can go up into the top 20 in the point standings, all 5 of our former winners on the season would be in playoff spots. But there are still a lot of big names just above, just below that 12th in the standings cut line. Going to be a lot of fun to follow here in these final 3 weeks of the regular season as to who's going to lock themselves into this season's playoffs. But Michael, another thriller here tonight. Granted, it ended under caution, but the race back to the caution was definitely exciting. Another photo finish here at Talladega Super Speedway. We've got Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, the track where pretty much everything's going to be decided here this season. The playoffs will be determined. Each elimination race for each round will be determined, and ultimately the championship will be decided. So can't wait for that next week, but I appreciate you jumping in the booth for this one here tonight.
Absolutely, it was fun. I'm gonna go crash now because I'm super tired, and yeah.
Is your dog gonna make you sleep on the floor?
Nope.
Nope. Is the dog at least gonna share the bed? I don't. Is it a yes or a no?
Say that again.
Is your dog gonna at least share your bed?
Yes,
Okay.
she will. She has no
Okay.
choice.
Well, she has no choice. Yeah, but dogs always seem to have that habit of taking like the 2/3 they want and leaving you just that one
they
edge of the
do.
bed.
Yep.
Which it's worth it. But thank you all so much for tuning into our coverage here tonight. Hope that you guys enjoyed it. We will see you guys next Thursday night. as we are back at the Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. That'll be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when the green flag will fly. Only a handful of races left here in Season 62 of the Talladega Challenge Series regular season. Hope you continue down the journey with us. But for Michael Norman, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. We'll see you guys next week as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's